We're at the Rite Aid Cleveland Marathon, Half Marathon, 10K, and kids runs. Especially, we run this city with Audain and Bill Rodgers, who ran with the kids today. And let's start with you. You talked to some of the kids last night. Can you describe something about this program?
Well, I think what we need to realize in the sport that we have a wonderful foundation for this nation, that we all know the health issues of this nation, and running is the purest thing that people could be getting out there and running. So we all know, we've experienced it, but we've got to make this younger generation realize what's out there for them. And this program, We Run the City, is all about these young kids in Cleveland that have trained to run either the marathon distance. They've done it throughout the school year since March to get up to 25 miles, and then they run the last 1.2 miles of the marathon here today, and Bill and I both got to run with them. And then there's a whole group that trained, they've done better, and they've trained to run the 10K, and there was about 100 of them who I spoke to last night, and they are just so excited to be doing it. And I think the sport has a tremendous future in terms of these kind of programs and getting the next generation enthused with running.
Well, some of them were so excited when they were crossing the finish line. It was just fun to see. And Bill, you didn't exactly lead the group. You were hanging out with the kids kind of in the back of the pack.
Well, you know what? It's fantastic to be here at the Rite Aid Cleveland Marathon, because I saw it years ago, of course, and Ann, of course, won 7 times here. And I ran a few times here in the 10K, you know. But it's just great to see a city really get behind its youth through the YMCA and the teachers and the schools and the marathon officials and volunteers, because it's an untapped resource. We have to support our kids. When we support our kids, they always respond. Like today I ran with this young kid, his name was Anthony, and he was kind of struggling. He had a lot of talent, I could tell. He ran so real easy, real light in his feet. And I said, listen, I got this jacket on. It was one of these beautiful jackets. It says Cleveland. I said, you know what? This kid, he needs it more than me, though. He's a skinny young kid. He's trying to be a good athlete. I said, listen, we're going to run it together. I'm going to give you the jacket. I gave him the jacket at the end. He's psyched, you know. So you do every little thing you can. And we really want to salute the teachers. And, you know, as runners, we've always done clinics and tried to reach out to the young kids. But I would love to see a national YMCA running team program, or maybe something through our nation's schools, you know, working together like this.
To be honest, we've both been on our soapbox all this weekend about this, because we both travel so much, and in many communities around the United States, there's individual groups like this trying to get kids all around running. And here you are in this world looking at these, I'll be honest and say, these obscene amounts of money that people are getting in other sports, baseball, basketball, obscene amounts of money. You just take 10% of that amount of money and fund these programs nationwide to get the next generation of runners out there, because not everybody is going to be a star athlete. For heaven's sake, Bill and I represent 0.5% of the talented people in the world who get to be professional athletes. We have to fund these grassroots levels.
You need leaders in every sport, and I hope, you know, Ann and I have done our best to try to be leaders in that sense. We're not bragging or anything, but we have walked the walk and run the run, and we know a lot about the sport. So I think, and America has a lot of Olympians like Ann and myself. We're an untapped resource. So hopefully someday, you know, we're going to be tied in more and more.
Too old.
Yeah, before I'm 100. But I think, you know, what if, like, the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports really stood up and, I mean, walk the walk, run the run, and put some money into this and support America's youth through programs like this. You know, what was the name of the program here in Cleveland?
We Run the City.
We Run the City.
We Run the City.
What a great name.
But these teachers are doing it as a volunteer situation, and they're having to write for grants to fund, to try and they're getting shoes. They're not getting shoes for free. They're getting shoes at cost. Well, that's a nice deal, but they really should be getting the shoes for free.
Yeah.
And
everything's expensive, but I think ultimately, do we want to support our people? You know, that's the question.
One thing that's kind of interesting, and it's starting to be a pattern, I've seen it in a few other marathons where the kids run the last 1.2 miles of the whole 26.2 on the day of the marathon. And they get to be at the finish line, and they get to see the excitement, and they get to see all the other people who are so happy about finishing. Yeah. Do you think that's really going to have an impact on those kids?
I think so. You actually never know. I mean, you look at us and you think about at some point in our lives, some aspect happened to us that gave us an opportunity or an inspiration to do what we did, and both of us quit on this sport at one point. Both of us got to that point, and it took something that rallied us to bring us back. And so you just never know who went across that finish line today and got inspired for whatever reason. And it's the same with all the adults that are out there doing their own thing and crossing that finish line. It gives people a sense of self-esteem and empowerment, not only the physical fitness side of it as well. So I think it does. Those kids getting the same medal, understanding, seeing the people that are coming in and taking 4 hours, and as I ran with some of these kids and they're kind of going along, and I said, do you realize that these people have run 26 miles today and you're just running 1, so give them a cheer as you go by them. And it's all education. It's helping people appreciate people, and no matter what age, ability, shape, size you are, we're all out there doing the same thing. There's just some of us that got genetically gifted.
I think, because we each had mentors or supporters, or, you know, my parents really didn't understand what I was doing as a young kid. I started at age 15, and but my mom became a runner at age 57. Yeah, and she later ran in the Senior Olympics, and my dad's sort of a walker and everything, and walking is great too. And there's a walking division here today, but I think it's something like a lot of people kind of give up on yourself, and you say, I can't do this, I couldn't do it. But if you have a friend who's a runner or a walker, maybe they'll get you out the door, and that's all you need is one friend, you know. And then you got it made. You got it made.
And I don't like, you know, we were going to meet these kids today, and we met a group of ladies that had walked the 10K, and we said, how did you do today? Oh, I just walked. And I say, don't use the word just. Please don't. And you see them apologizing because they're walkers, and it's like, no, it's all relative, because if you get fit as a walker, one of these days you're going to get inspired to run a little bit. So don't apologize for being a walker, and that's another thing.
And you're not sitting on the couch.
Oh yeah.
No, we have way too much of that. Unfortunately, technology leads us that way. So we need to find the antidote to that. Technology is good, but if we use it the right way, the computers and TV and so forth, and balance, right? That word balance, you know, and that's the key. And then it's not so hard, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Bill and Ann. You've inspired hundreds of kids today, and all right, cheers.